Hello, God bless from Up Ministries. It's me, Dick Jr. I'm coming to you today to read you Ezekiel chapter 1. We're starting on the book of Ezekiel now. I finished the book of Daniel. So I only took two references out of this. Isaiah chapter 6, verse 1 and 2. Chapter 6, verse 1 and 2 of Isaiah. And Genesis chapter 9, verse 13. That's chapter 9, verse 13 of Genesis. I already prayed and asked God to help me speak with you today, and I suggest that anytime you place yourself in God's Word, you speak with Him also and ask Him to give you knowledge, wisdom, and understanding, and He will reveal Himself to you. So I'm just going to go ahead and start reading. I'll probably stop in a couple spots and talk a little bit, but yeah, this is it's a good chapter, though. I like Ezekiel. I like all the prophets, so there you have that. So let's get started. Now it came about in the 13th year, on the 5th day of the 4th month, while I was by the river Chebar among the exiles, the heavens were opened, and I saw visions of God. On the 5th of the month, in the 5th year of King Jehoiachin's exile, the word of the Lord came expressly to Ezekiel the priest, son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Chebar, and there the hand of the Lord came upon him. I circled where it said word of the Lord came expressly to Ezekiel. That means that he was very special. And the way that it says the priest, after it says that, it says the word of the Lord came expressly to Ezekiel the priest, not Ezekiel a priest, but the priest. So I think that he was a very special person as far as his walk with God. Okay, so that's why this comes about. And then I also circled where it says the hand of the Lord came upon him, because all these things are the hand of the Lord, and not just here. There's a whole book of things concerning God. Okay, so verse 4: As I looked, behold, a storm wind was coming from the north, a great cloud with fire flashing forth continually, and a bright light around it, and in its midst something like glowing metal in the midst of the fire. Within it there were figures resembling 4 living beings, and this was their appearance. They had human form. Each of them had 4 faces and 4 wings. Their legs were straight, and their feet were like calves' hooves, and they gleamed like burnished bronze. Under their wings on their 4 sides were human hands. As for the faces and wings of the 4 of them, their wings touched one another. Their faces did not turn when they moved. Each went straight forward. As for the form of their faces, each had the face of a man. All 4 had the face of a lion on the right, and the face of a bull on the left, and all 4 had the face of an eagle. Such were their faces. Their wings were spread out above. Each had 2 touching another being, and 2 covering their bodies. And each went straight forward wherever the Spirit was about to go. They would go, without turning as they went. In the midst of the living beings, there was something that looked like burning coals of fire, like torches darting back and forth among the living beings. The fire was bright, and lightning was flashing from the fire, and the living beings ran to and fro like bolts of lightning. Now as I looked at the living beings, behold, there was one wheel on the earth beside the living beings, for each of the 4 of them. The appearance of the wheels and their workmanship was like sparkling beryl, and all 4 of them had the same form, their appearance and workmanship being as if one wheel were within another. Whenever they moved in any of the 4 directions, without turning as they moved. As for their rims, they were lofty and awesome, and the rims of all 4 of them were full of eyes round about. Whenever the living beings moved, the wheels moved with them, and whenever the living beings rose from the earth, the wheels rose also. Wherever the Spirit was about to go, they would go in that direction, and the wheels rose close beside them, for the Spirit of the living beings was in the wheels. Whenever those rose, these went, whenever those went, these went, and whenever those stood still, these stood still, and whenever those rose from the earth, the wheels rose close beside them, for the Spirit of the living beings was in the wheels. Now, after the heads of the living beings there was something like an expanse above the heads, over the heads of the living beings. There was something like an expanse, like the awesome gleam of crystals spread out over their heads. Under the expanse, their wings were stretched out straight, one toward the other. Each one also had 2 wings covering its body on the one side and on the other. I also heard the sound of their wings like a sound of an abundant waters as they went, like the voice of the Almighty, a sound of tumult, like the sound of an army camp. Whenever they stood still, they dropped their wings, and there came a voice from above the expanse that was over their heads. Whenever they stood still, they dropped their wings. Now, above the expanse that was over their heads, there was something resembling a throne, like lapis lazuli in appearance. And on that which resembled a throne, high up, was a figure with the appearance of a man. And right here, I'm going to go to Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1 and 2 quickly. Isaiah chapter 6, verses 1 and 2. In the year of King Uzziah's death, I saw the Lord sitting on a throne, lofty and exalted, with the train of his robe filling the temple. So obviously God was sitting above it, and his robe covered the temple. Seraphim stood above him, each having 6 wings. With 2 he covered his face, with 2 he covered his feet, and with 2 he flew. So these were seraphim with 6 wings. But I suggest the possibility also that what Ezekiel was seeing was also seraphim, maybe of a different type or a different something, but they were seraphim. They were angels. And then I noticed from the appearance of his loins and upward something like glowing metal that looked like fire all around within it. And from the appearance of his loins and downward, I saw something like fire, and there was a radiance around him, as the appearance of the rainbow in the clouds on a rainy day. So was the appearance of the surrounding radiance. Such was the appearance of the likeness of the glory of the Lord. And when I saw it, I fell on my face and heard a voice speaking. And that's the last verse there, but we're going to go ahead and go to Genesis 9:13. And it's concerning the radiance of a rainbow, the beauty of a rainbow. And this is where God made his covenant with Noah. This is chapter 9 of Genesis. Great read. But 9:13 says, I set my bow in the cloud, and it shall be for a sign of a covenant between me and the earth. So basically, that radiance and beauty that we see in the sky, that's what God's going to look like around him. When we see God, there's going to be that beautiful rainbow of beauty around him. So every time we look in the sky, we're seeing a likeness of the radiance of God when we see a rainbow. And that's his promise to us, which also means that God is still with us. Okay? That's all I got to say for Ezekiel chapter 1. Thanks for listening, and God bless.